Hi everyone, my name is Myra Cariello or CarCai on Wikimedia. Sorry, it's sharing my, sorry. So I'll be presenting Learning Wikidata in 8 weeks as a Smithsonian intern here. I use she, her pronouns and my username is Saicar. And next one. And so who am I? I am based in the United States of America. My first language is English. I have a BA in Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies and a first-year MA student at The Ohio State University. And I've never edited Wikipedia prior to June of 2021. And I've also never heard of Wikidata prior to June of 21 either. And I say this to contextualize where I'm coming from as an intern who took this leap of faith into the Wikiverse. And I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it as well from the Smithsonian. So with that being said, if you don't know what the Smithsonian is, it's an institution based in the United States. It is founded in 1846 by an Englishman, James Smithson. It has 21 museums and it's part of and it also includes our National Zoo. It has approximately 155 million items in its collection, from artworks to archival documents. And its mission as an establishment is for the increase and diffusion of knowledge, which is somewhat aligned with, I feel like, the Wikiverses as well. So how did I get here specifically? I worked through the American Women's History Initiative, AWHI, whose mission is researching, disseminating, and amplifying American women's voices in history. And it has a digital first focus in order to make these histories as accessible as possible. So I applied for the Because of Her Story internship. That's how I got introduced to Wikipedia. And it is a cohort, an 8-week digital internship with a cohort of 12 undergraduate students here in the United States. And it also, my specific project I worked on was the Wikimedia Gender Equity in the Digital Museum. And my purpose for this project was to utilize Smithsonian archives and collections to not only help improve women's existing Wikipedia pages, but to also create women's Wikipedia pages if they had the necessary resources to do so. And I do want to also say I've continued this internship into the fall, so it's not just 8 weeks anymore, it's gone a lot longer now. I wanted to highlight some of the resources that really helped me understand why Wikipedia is important, and moreover, why Wikidata is such a great potential for internships as well. So one, the Smithsonian paid me to do it. I feel like this is a really important thing to mention, that I probably wouldn't be able to take this opportunity financially because to take an unpaid internship. So being able to be paid and also be able to learn these skills really was a big motivator for how I was able to do this. Additionally, my mentors, Kelly Doyle, who's the Open Knowledge Coordinator, walked me through how to edit Wikipedia one-on-one as live demos and also apply those things to Wikidata. She answered all my questions, all the error messages I got doing Wikidata. She really helped me through that. Additionally, another mentor of mine was Andrew Lee, who's the Wikimedian at large at the Smithsonian Institute. He really helped me figure out exactly how Wikidata use structured data. I had never heard of structured data before this internship, so his guidance was really helpful. Additionally, I read his book, The Wikipedia Revolution, to get more background on why Wikimedia and Wikipedia matters. I also read Sophia Noble's book, Algorithms of Oppression, to figure out exactly how structured data could be used, also perhaps also including like how it could be used for harm. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Women in Red as a resource that I used as an intern, because it really showed me that there are communities on Wikipedia, which I didn't even know that there were groups like that. So that was really helpful for me as an intern to see that collaborative work already being done. And these are some of the resources I used at the Smithsonian to have these resources. So the Smithsonian Online Virtual Archives, or SOVA, and the Smithsonian Open Access. So this is where I got a lot of the resources that I used to put on Wikipedia to enhance those Wikipedia pages and Wikidata sources. And why Wikidata made more sense to me than Wikipedia. So I felt like Wikidata was a lot more straightforward to me as an intern. As you can see with these screenshots, this is the very first Wikidata property I ever made. It was Myra Miller. She's an Atlanta-based food entrepreneur and baker. And even though that I had a few difficulties figuring out how to make the date of death on her Wikidata property correct, I felt like the information I put in here was relatively straightforward. and easily to source. So I just put human, female, the date of death, date of birth, and what her occupation is, and that was sort of it. And it was a lot faster than, say, making Ladiva Davis's wiki page, who is the person on this Wikidata promotional material here. So this is the first Wikipedia page I made. This took me significantly more time, not only because I had to think about what sentences I wanted to say, how I wanted to cite it. I also had to think about organization. There was just a lot more decision making and how to make a Wikipedia page than making a Wikidata property. And I think that that's an important thing to think of when, like, what can interns produce? And I think that Wikidata properties and adding these sources on or adding resources to existing Wikidata properties is a lot easier for interns to get a grasp on really quickly and do efficiently. Additionally, I thought that connecting Wikidata properties was a lot easier than connecting Wikipedia pages. So here you see 2 Wikidata properties I created for a WikidataCon. I felt like it's really important that I could connect these two at the same time. So Bertha L. Turner is an author of this cookbook, but that wouldn't be legible in Wikidata unless I also made the property for the cookbook. And that wasn't necessarily hard to do with the resources I had. So it was really easy to connect these two things. Whereas if I had to make a Wikipedia page for her, like I said, it would be a lot more work thinking of how to like write prose, explaining her achievements, but also citing them. And also the Federation Cookbook wouldn't be necessarily highlighted as well as in Wikidata. Additionally, I wanted to mention this most recent editathon, Women Innovators in Aviation Spaceflight. This is something that I did last week, and I wanted to highlight all the Wikidata properties that went into this editathon and how important I felt like those were to the success of the editathon as well, because even if articles to create, not all of them got created, their Wikidata properties were there and could be used as a springboard to create those Wikipedia pages later on. Additionally, updating the Wikidata properties for existing sources I felt was really useful, because to me, Wikidata properties without resources are as good as Wikipedia pages without resources, not very helpful. So I felt like updating that with the resources I found at the Smithsonian was really useful for me to understand how Wikidata can work with other Wikipedia events. And then these are some of my passion projects for Wikidata. Zaila Avant-Garde is the 2021 Scripps National Spelling Bee, and Chenue Her is the first male Hmong news anchor in the United States. And these I think I wanted to highlight because these have nothing to do with my Smithsonian internship. The Smithsonian internship gave me the tools and also the mindset to see these people in the news and then go, are they on Wikidata? I want to put them on Wikidata, and then knowing how to do that. So these are something that I am very proud of, where I was just like, oh, okay, like real world application to what I want to do outside of the Smithsonian's interest, I felt like was really important to highlight the possibilities of these internships as passion projects. Another thing I wanted to highlight was that some of the things about the Wikidata work and the Wikipedia work I do is illegible to administrators higher than my mentor. I know that a lot of you know that all of the Wikidata and Wikipedia edits are all documented for anyone really to see. Administrators, I feel like, have no idea how to read that. So I had to put all of the pages and Wikipedia articles, Wikidata stuff into a spreadsheet. And I think this is an important thing to highlight in terms of like an internship in an institution where wiki work is largely illegible. So this is one way that I found that my work was meaningful for administrations higher up, because they could quantify what I was doing in ways that they understood, which is through Excel, I suppose. Additionally, my mentor made this spreadsheet, or not a spreadsheet, I believe it's a dashboard through the outreach dashboard by the Wikimedia Foundation labs.org, and it documented what I did in the summer. And this also helped my mentor explain to higher ups why why Wikidata internships and Wikipedia internships matter, especially for the interest of the Smithsonian for diffusing knowledge. So as you can see, there's a lot of article views, a lot of outputs here that I think administrators value, and I feel like the internships act as a way to promote this wiki work in these GLAM institutions. So I want to reiterate why Wikidata internships, I know I'm short on time, but basically Wikipedia and Wikidata are largely illegible to students as legitimate sources of knowledge and opportunity, mainly because I've been fed that Wikipedia isn't a valid source of knowledge since I was in pre-K. But I think paid wiki internships from institutions can signal opportunity and importance. However, not without tension, because these institutions have been historically gatekeepers of knowledge. So I do want to acknowledge that, but I do think that there's potential with their credibility to enhance wiki work to people who may not be as familiar. I also think it's a question of equity. As I mentioned, paid internships, this labor is worth being paid for. So I wanted to emphasize that again, because not everyone who might be marginalized could take this opportunity. And I don't want to recreate structures of hierarchy and inequality. I also think that doing this work can highlight supporting current Wikipedians and residents who are already in GLAM institutions by having these different outputs for interns, and also attracting students from different institutions as well. And as I mentioned, Wikidata and Wikipedia, I think Wikidata is a lot easier to learn, mainly because you can look at a property and then use those structures and then apply it to the one that you're creating. So it's sort of like, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just change it up a bit. It also, structured data means less reliant on the written word. And I think prose is a really big barrier to people participating in Wikipedia. So this, I feel like, is a really great avenue for them. And I think it also allows for cross-national, cross-institutional, cross-language collaboration. And lastly, sorry, I know I'm over time, but I wanted to mention how this is now changing how I'm going to teach as a graduate student by incorporating Wikidata and Wikipedia into my own classroom. And that's sort of what I wanted to end with. Additionally, will continue to edit on Wikipedia to make these sources by these institutions more accessible for my own meetings and also as a passion project. And I apologize for talking so fast and so quickly, but I'm really glad that I'm here with you and you gave me the opportunity to share this. So thank you so much.